Guys, I'm gonna crack a cold one with you. It's actually warm. Anyways, guys, what is up? My name is Nordic97. We're back again for another video, and it is that time of the year again. As the NHL season winds down, it's starting to get into a bigger discussion on what the NHL awards are going to be at the end of the season. Whether it's a Vezina or the Selke or the Hart, there's always a discussion to be made. Today we're going to go take a look at 8 different defensemen across the entire NHL and discuss whether or not they could win the Norris. The difference between this year and last year is last year I talked about a defenseman from literally every single NHL team. However, to conserve time a little bit more, we're going to talk about 2 from each division. Now, when you rank down 192 defensemen down to 8, you're going to miss a couple people in there. So that's why I provided an honorable mentions. And even them, they don't cover all the defensemen that I think could make a case for the Norris. So your 4 listed here, starting off with Justin Faulk. Faulk is a very underrated. He's had a good season, but he's not at the level that the other defensemen are capable for the Norris. And same with John Carlson. Carlson, he's been a solid defenseman through his time. He hasn't won a Norris, and he probably isn't going to. He's just going to be one of those defensemen that kind of just got underranked from all the other defensemen. And then Devon Toews as well. When you're taking 8 defensemen, 2 from each division, it's pretty hard to put 2 from the same team into one division, and you already know who I'm going to have from the Avalanche in there. So, and then Aaron Ekblad, if he didn't get injured midway through the season, I think he would definitely be one of my 2 Atlantic Division players for the Norris, but I just didn't put him there mainly because of his injuries. Now, that being said, we're going to go all the way out west to start off our 8 defenseman Norris rankings and go take a look at the Pacific Division. To start off our Pacific Division defenseman, we're going to go take a look at the city of Las Vegas with Alex Pietrangelo. On a Vegas team that has been somewhat mediocre, somewhat good at times, somewhat bad at times, it's really been an up and down season for the Knights. Pietrangelo has still put up some pretty solid numbers, and that's why I have him as one of our 2 Pacific Division defensemen. This season, Pietrangelo has played 71 games, has 13 goals, 27 assists, for 40 points. He is a +3 out there on the ice. Not as big as the other defensemen, but then again, the Pacific Division is actually pretty weak when you look at their defenseman rankings. And when you look at the point totals, there's not a Pacific Division defenseman until Quinn Hughes, which we'll get into in a little bit. So it's kind of hard to pick the defenseman for the Pacific. Now, that being said, we're going to go take a look at the city of Vancouver, where Quinn Hughes is. Now, despite his struggles with the Canucks, he's still put up some really solid numbers that is worth mentioning. Now, is he going to win the Norris? Definitely not. I don't think any defenseman from the Pacific Division is going to win the Norris. But Quinn Hughes has put up some very good numbers through the Canucks' struggles. Through this season with the Canucks, Quinn Hughes has played 67 games, has 5 goals, 48 assists for 53 points. And he is a +8 out there on the ice. He's looked good for the Canucks, especially in the second half of the season, which I think is mainly where all these numbers come from. Because before that, he was struggling a tad bit, but now he's really racked up the points. And he's not going to win the Norris, but it is worth mentioning the turnaround that he has had this season. That wraps up probably the weakest portion of our video with the Pacific Division. We're going to go ramp things up a little bit and take a look at the Atlantic Division. So we're going to start off our 2 defensemen in contention for the Norris in the Atlantic Division with someone who's already won the Norris already. Victor Hedman is an interesting yet controversial defenseman as he puts up a lot of offense, but he's being controversialized as a player who just gets the assists from the big players in Kucherov, Point, and Stamkos. This year for Hedman has been 72 games played, 19 goals, 49 assists for 68 points. He is currently tied for second in the most goals by a defenseman in this season. So that's probably why he's in this conversation for the Norris. I don't think he's a finalist personally. I think he's probably comes 4th or 5th in Norris rankings this year. I don't think he becomes a finalist this year. And I mean, that is a little bit unfortunate, but I don't think he wins it this year. I think there's defensemen who are better than him. He still had a good year, but I just think there's other defensemen who have played at a much higher level than Hedman. Okay. I may get a lot of controversy for putting him in this video, but he's had a good season. Morgan Rielly has really performed for the Toronto Maple Leafs this year, both offensively and defensively. He's looked really good. Now, you could argue his offense is from Austin Matthews because the guy has almost 60 goals, but I still think he is still in the conversation for a Norris Trophy. This season, Riley has played 72 games, has 10 goals, 51 assists for 61 points, and is a plus 10 on the ice. He's looked good in the games that I've watched the Toronto Maple Leafs play. And although I don't think he wins the Norris, he should at least be in the conversation because assisting 51 goals is actually pretty good. So you got to definitely consider him in there since he is one of the top defensemen in the Atlantic Division. Now that wraps up the halfway portion of this video. We're going to go take a look at the West once again and look at, in my opinion, the most competitive division when it comes to defensemen this season, the Central Division. The Central Division this season is hands down the most competitive division when it comes to the top defensemen. 2 of the 4 people that I mentioned in my honorable mentions are in the Central Division. And who would have thought that the Central Division, I don't know why I'm saying that so much, would have been the most competitive? Because at the beginning of the season, a lot of people, including myself, were saying that division is the weakest. You got 2 defensemen in this division who are breaking franchise records for both of their respectful teams that I don't even know which of them could win the Norris. We'll start off with Roman Josi because he's been one of the most underrated defensemen in the league for a long time now, and he is finally starting to get himself on the map. He is breaking franchise records. He broke the single-season point record as a defenseman for the Nashville Predators. Josi has played 70 games, has 19 goals, 68 assists for 87 points, and he is a plus 22 out there on the ice for the Nashville Predators. A team that is, to be honest with you, barely holding on right now. They're kind of barely holding on to a playoff spot right now. They could very well fall off if they go on a losing streak, but Roman Josi is really carrying this team to the playoffs. It's kind of like what Jose Saros did last year for the Predators, except it's Roman Josi. He's been underrated for a long time, and he's finally getting the recognition he deserves. And in my opinion, he's this year's Norris winner. Now we're going to take a look at the defenseman that we talked about recently on the channel. It's Cale Makar, who has been hands down unbelievable for the Colorado Avalanche. The amount of goals this guy has scored is crazy, and the way he's been scoring goals too is unreal. The funny part is, now that I think about it, this could be a potential matchup in the playoffs. Nashville being around the number 2 wildcard spot, and Colorado probably finishing first in the West. We could see these 2 defensemen battling it out in the playoffs. Now anyways, Cale Makar's stats. 68 games played, 25 goals, 52 assists for 77 points. And he is a plus 43 out there. I'm pretty sure that is by far the highest in the NHL for defensemen. So he's been absolutely unreal for the Avalanche. And to be honest with you, I could see him winning the Norris too. I could see both defensemen from this division winning the Norris. And that's why I think. I feel like it's going to be between those 2. And then it's going to be somebody like Morgan Rielly or Victor Hedman at the number 3 spot, who really just isn't going to win it. He's just there. 3 divisions down, 1 more to go. Let's go take a look at the defenseman that I picked from the Metropolitan Division. So we'll start off our 2 Metro defensemen with the guy who won it last year by a unanimous vote, Adam Fox. He's looked very good this season for the Rangers. I don't think he wins it this year, but he's definitely going to make a case for it. With 70 games played, Adam Fox has 10 goals, 57 assists for 67 points, and he is a plus 13 out there on the ice. If I was to say the Norris finalists for right now, it would probably be Makar, Josi, and Adam Fox. That's probably the 3 that's going to be. And with Adam Fox's season, he's going to make a good case for it. It's sad that you have guys like Makar and Josi in this league, because I feel like a guy like Adam Fox definitely deserves to win it again. It's just unfortunate there's other defensemen who have just been playing at a higher level than Fox this year. To wrap up this division and this video, we're going to go take a look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, where Chris Letang is out there chilling. He's done a pretty good job this season. Now, he's had some defensive mishaps. I understand that. I've watched a couple of games where he would just sell, and he's the king of doing that. He does that a lot. But I feel like he's had a good season where he could very well make a case for the Norris. Plus the Metro, they have a lot of strong defensemen, and he's really risen above a lot of those guys. This season, Letang has played 70 games, has 7 goals, 55 assists for 62 points, for a plus 14 out there on the ice. For a team that's been bad, and since Letang has also been injured, he's really taken the adversity level and really risen above everything else, because Crosby and Malkin were out, And the next in line is Letang to really lead this team. And that's what he did through the better half of December. December was probably the best month for the Penguins that I have ever seen. They played super duper good, and I feel like Letang really led the way for them. And that being said, it concludes our Who Wins the Norris 2022 edition. So out of all the defensemen that I listed in this video and other guys that I didn't list in this video, let me know your guys' thoughts on this video and who you guys think would win the Norris. Thank you all for watching. For us pros, I really appreciate it. If you guys want to see some more videos, you can take a look at our season playlist, which shows all the videos that I've made this season. I'm trying to beat the record that for last season I made 161. We're at 140 right now, so I'll probably beat the record. But anyways, thank you all for watching. For us pros, I really appreciate it. We're coming up on 800 videos, which is significantly unreal. I can't believe I made that many. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.